Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Scale Podcast, where we teach you everything it takes for you to get to the next phase of your business, be it customer management and relationship, employee management and relationship, or simply systems and structures that your business needs in order to not just survive, but thrive. I'm going to go straight into it today. The question for today is, what is the cost of building a great company? What is the cost of building a great company? What is the cost of building a great company? I'm repeating this for the sake of emphasis. Whenever I'm repeating something a lot, it's because it's a really very important question to have answered. What does it take to build a great company? What is the cost of building a great company? What is the cost of building a great company? When it comes to building a great company, there are two things that you must have. And these things are quite intangible. It's not money. It's not even people you know. It's not relationships. It's actually, in simplest terms, it's intensity. You need to have intensity. You need to have intensity. You need to be obsessed about what you are doing, about your company, about the business that you are building. Of course, these things can get you to such a point where you damage other parts of your life if not properly managed, such as people who destroy their relationships with their children because they want to build a great company, or end up with a divorce, or become a social outcast. All of these outcomes are undesirable, but it doesn't deny the fact that you have to be intense and you have to be obsessed about what you are doing. You simply have to be obsessed and you simply have to be intense. I read a lot of biographies and I learn a lot about people who have built great businesses. I think at this point I should have studied about 350 plus great businesses without exaggeration. And one thing I notice across all of them, now there are some with failed marriages, there are some that died alone, there are some whose children hate them, there are some who have loving spouses, and there are some whose children and grandchildren think of them as heroes. So once again, allow me to make it a statement that you do not have to damage your family life in order to build a great business. So the cost of running a great business, building a great business, is not your family. However, there is still a cost, and that cost is intensity. Because intensity can also be described in another way. It can be described as a burning desire, and another word for that would be hunger. You simply have to be hungry for the manifestation of a great business, of a great enterprise, of a great legacy. It is just something that you must set out to build. That is simply the case. It is something you must set out to build. Now, why do you need intensity? You need intensity because if you are going to be building a great business, you need to know a lot of stuff. And knowing a lot of stuff means you are learning a lot of stuff. You are reading a lot of stuff. So you have to be a generalist. I believe it was Vusi Tembukwayo that mentioned that, how dangerous are you as a business owner? And what this means basically is, how resistant to being made a fool of are you? Because some people run businesses and their employees can easily lie to them. Why can their employees lie to them? It's because they do not have any level of skill or knowledge in the things that employee is doing. So the employee can tell you, this is the bottleneck, and unless we do this, we can't get past it. Now, because you don't know a lot about what that employee is doing, you're going to believe them. So you've got to know a lot. Now, how do you know a lot? It goes back to intensity, obsession, because that is the only thing that will drive you in order to study, study. Now, I believe David Senra mentioned that great entrepreneurs devour entire bookshelves. I want you to understand it. He didn't say that great entrepreneurs read books. He said they devour entire bookshelves on the topics that they are studying. It takes intensity in order to do that. Now, you must be a generalist and you must also be a specialist, because you must know everything about running your business. So in other words, you have to be a generalist. You need to know everything. However, you also need to be a specialist. Now, you must know more than just a little bit of everything. And you must know the most about a specific thing about your business. That specific thing is the leadership of your business. Once again, as we stated earlier, it takes hunger, it takes sacrifice, it takes madness. It takes hunger, it takes sacrifice, and it takes madness. Because all of this will mean that you are no longer living like a normal person. You cannot want to build anything great and want to be normal. By definition, great means that a thing stands out. Another synonym for great is abnormal. So sometimes when people say, oh, I'm just looking for work-life balance, you can already tell that this person does not want to be great, right? Now, the reason why I say this, and I'm going to explain myself, is because work-life balance is something that the average of society have. Please do not fight what I'm saying. Kindly listen. Work-life balance is something that the average of society have. Now, what do the great persons of society have? They have one of two things. It's either they have no balance at all. It's either that life is in constant chaos, and that's not where you want to be. Or they have work-life integration. So it's not like they're trying to balance their work and their life. That's not even what they're trying to do. There's no dichotomy, because to the great person, their work is their life. It sounds very weird, but if you think about it, think about Thomas Edison. Work-life integration. He basically built his laboratory, right? Then inside his laboratory, he built his family house. Inside the laboratory park, he built a school for his children. So he didn't have to go to work, then come back home, then go to children's school. It was everything together was integrated into each other. That is a manner of existing. For example, another person is a public speaker. Today he's speaking in Nigeria, later he's speaking in the USA, later he's speaking in Montenegro, another time he's speaking in Nepal, another time he's speaking in Spain. This person, it would be quite unwise for this person to be trying to do work-life balance. That is, oh, when I get back from all my trips, I'll now see my children, then I will... No, it's going to cost this person more, but this person could integrate all of his life together such that the children are always moving around as well in a systematic way. Now, this might not work for everybody, but these children are also moving around in a systematic way, and even as they are moving around, they are getting their education from private tutors that follow around. This way, the family is always together, always having fun. You can coach your kids based on your experiences per time in the various nations of the world as you move together. Now, that is work-life integration. The child would have a high level of exposure. But today, we are not talking about work-life balance. We are talking about what it takes to build a great company, what it takes to build a great business. In truth, you can weigh the quality of what you are building by the amount of work that you have put into it. I said, in truth, you can weigh the quality of what you are building by the amount of work you've put into it. Yes, you can. the amount of work and also the quality of work you've put into it. Because you want to build something great, but you don't put your very best into it. You are mediocre about the kind of work you put into it. You wake up late, you sleep early, you do minimal reading, you even read summarized works. That doesn't help what you are building. So at this point, I want to ask, based on the way I am going about my business, because business is basically two words. It's busy. That's B-U-S-Y, and ness. So when you say busyness, it's basically what you are doing. So based on what you are doing, how would you say your business is growing? I want you to make a self-evaluation as we're having this conversation, as you're listening to this podcast right now. Based on how we are interacting, how we are operating, how we are functioning, how you are carrying yourself, would you say that this thing is going to be the best of the best? The truth is that we all know, because if you remember, we said that in order to build a great company, it takes intensity, it takes obsession, it takes hunger, it takes sacrifice, it takes madness. In fact, all of these words are just synonyms for one another. In other words, the question I'm asking today is, what is the extra mile you are willing to go for your business? What is the ethical extra mile that you are willing to go for your business? Are you the kind that is willing to do anything that is legally, ethically possible to get what you are looking for? Are you the kind that is willing to do anything under the law to succeed? In all truth, nothing should be able to satisfy you. If you want to be number one, nothing should be capable of making you satisfied. Nothing should be able to make you okay. That is really what it takes in order to do something great. An unending hunger, an unending dissatisfaction. So nothing must fill you up. Now, all of these things I've been saying, the hunger, the sacrifice, the madness, what do they do for you? What they basically do is that they give you the drive. They give you the drive to carry out your ideas. Because at the end of the day, ideas are easy. Everyone can have an idea, but execution is everything. And this is where many people fail. Many people are not executing. Many people are not doing. Many people are not carrying out that which they should be carrying out. And that is basically the purpose of hunger. Because remember, you can rate the quality of work that is going into what you are doing by the amount of hunger you have. Because you know, this thing that I'm doing, am I going to win? It's just like a student that sits to write an exam. If that student is honest with himself, he likely already knows if he's going to pass or fail based on the quality of study he did before that period. So what the drive does, what the hunger does, what the sacrifice does is that it gives you the drive to carry out, the drive to do your ideas. Because execution is everything in the game of business. And the most important thing you can be doing as a business that wants to be great, as the leader, as a key person of influence in a business that wants to be great, is learning and growing. Learning and growing. Now, what are the things you must place priority on learning? There are not that many. There are only three. There are only three things that you must constantly be learning. Every other thing is secondary. But the three primary things you must always be learning, write this down. You must be learning to sell, you must be learning to lead, and you must be learning to manage a team. Leading and managing are not the same thing. They are not the same thing at all. Selling is entirely different from leading, and leading is entirely different from managing. All of them have their place, because at the end of the day, building a great business is basically people management. That is really what it is. You are managing employees and you are managing customers. Learning how to sell manages your customers. Learning how to lead and manage manages your employees. These are the areas that you must constantly be growing in as a business that wants to grow. A lot of the time, a person who has an endless dissatisfaction, unending intensity, boundless energy will get more done than even a person that is more qualified, more capable of doing the thing that they've been set to do. So today I'm going to be leaving us with a question for ourselves. With the way that I am going about my business, with the way that I am moving, can I say that this thing that I am building, this thing that I am staking my life on is going to amount to something great? And if your answer is no, you know what to do. One of the things you can do is follow us on this podcast, invite your friends, build a community around yourself so that you and your team and your friends and your peers can grow together. Until next time, this has been Scale Podcast. Thank you all for joining tonight.